Welcome to this video channel where we dive into critical questions surrounding retirement planning. Today we're exploring a vital topic. If I retire at 62, what's the impact on my savings? We know that retirement is a significant milestone, and deciding when to retire can feel like one of the most important decisions you'll ever make. In this video, we're going to use advanced retirement planning software to analyze the effects of retiring at 62 on your savings. We'll look at how it impacts your overall retirement fund, the potential benefits and drawbacks, and what you can do to mitigate any negative effects. So if you ever wondered about the financial implications of an early retirement, stick around. Let's dive into the analysis and uncover what retiring at 62 could mean for you. Here's the case we're going to review today. This is Tom and Amanda Sample. They have two children who are strangely named First and Second. They have tax-deferred assets. Tom's got money in a 401k and an IRA. The amounts are listed here. Amanda has money in her tax-deferred accounts. They're 59 and 57 right now. Brokerage account, $220,000, primary home with $425,000 of equity. The first thing we should do is look at the probability of success for their plan. This number, this 83%, reflects something called a Monte Carlo analysis. What a Monte Carlo analysis does is it takes the historical data behind this asset composition, U.S. equities, emerging markets, which happen to be zero here, U.S. bonds, and the like. And it runs all these trials, 1,000 trials, to come up with the likelihood that, given the information we're putting in this plan, how likely it is that we'll have money left over at the end or that we won't run out of money. Now, some people want there to be a very high likelihood that their money will last, maybe 100%. Some people might say, you know what, I'm willing to wing it a little bit. I'm willing to accept a 67% chance that my money will last. I don't know, that's for you to decide. But here we are with the initial run through, which shows this probability of success, current plan and proposed plan, of 83%. Not bad. This is the range of possible outcomes based upon all the information we put in the system. So you can see that this range changes as we go along. Now, there are a couple ways to look at this. Either 5 to 95% confidence level or 25 to 75% confidence level. What the first one, the 5 to 95%, means is that it's going to give us the potential of much more money in the end, but also the higher likelihood that we'll run out of money. So what this shows us here is there could be a range between 0, which means we ran out of money, and $21 million. I don't look at that. There's no way we're going to have $21 million left in this plan. This means that the investments performed at the highest possible level the whole plan. What we want to look at is more what this tighter range looks like. And then this is the median of all the trials. So you can see the median of all the trials in this analysis is $4.2 million in the end. That's what that means. Now, what we can do here is, and this is where we'll do our work, is we're going to look at all these assumptions and say, is there a way for us to retire at age 62? But we know the probability of success will go down. Okay, so let's make our change. Let's move Tom down to 62 and make this 62. And then we're going to put Amanda at 61. I'm sorry, 60. Okay, let's refresh the screen and see how we start this. So now we're down to 52% and a median result of $292,000 left at the end. That's very tight. You can see here in the Monte Carlo, the asset simulation, you can see that this median number is a lot lower. You get right there to the end. If we look at the comparison between the two plans, that's this sort of royal, well, this up here is the current, and then the proposed, which is retiring at 62, is significantly less. So this is kind of a problem. Let's look for ways that they can improve this situation. There are a couple critical questions here. The first one is, are we willing to accept a 52% confidence level. So what that indicates is that in 1,000 trials, given all the information we've put into the system, assuming we retire at 62 and 60, are we willing to accept a coin toss as to whether or not we're going to run out of money? The second question is, can we meet halfway? Can we retire a year early? 2 years early instead of the 3? Can we save more money? Is there anything we can do with Social Security? Can we modify our spending a little bit? And what are we willing to accept for a confidence level? There are a handful of different areas that we can look at to improve this situation or to give them the permission to retire when they want. Right now, we're at a 52% probability of success. It's like a coin flip, whether or not they'll run out of money if they choose to retire early. If they retired at 65 and 63, their probability of success and their median ending balances were significantly higher. Right now, we're down at $292,000. We have to improve that. So we're going to change a handful of things down here in this area right here, and we're going to do that in a second. First, let's identify a few categories that might help us. I do love the book, The Psychology of Money. I think it's one of the best personal finance books ever written. In The Psychology of Money, they talk about the way to have more money is to earn more, save more, and want less. We're going to look at 2 out of those 3, save more and want less, because earn more, that's a little bit harder. They're earning what they're earning. I just hope they earn what they're earning until they decide to retire. We're also going to look at being more aggressive with their investments, being less aggressive with their investments, modifying Social Security to see if a change in claiming strategy helps or hurts, and a little bit on Roth conversions, because presumably if they're retiring early, they're going to have some bandwidth, if you will, to make conversions, some lower tax brackets. So we'll see if any of that improves this number. In our original plan, we have the samples saving 8% and 5% into their 401ks, Tom's 401k and Amanda's 401k. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about saving more. So let's bump this up. We're going to make this 10, and we're going to make this 7. And let's refresh the screen and see what happens. We're still at 52% in our 1,000 trials. That's how the Monte Carlo analysis works. But you can see here that the median ending balance has increased by about $50,000. So that's good. So that's a step in the right direction, but it's still not enough. So what else can we do? The next thing we're going to do is to reduce their spending in retirement. Remember what The Psychology of Money says: earn more, save more, want less. This is the want less part and the painful part. We know that nobody wants to spend less money than they can. They do want to retire early, and they are making a lot of money, which means that something has to give. So let's make this 5,500. From 6,000 to 5,500, we can refresh the screen. And you can see that we're now up to 62% and a median ending balance of $1.3 million. That's significant. That's a giant step in the right direction. Still not crazy about this. So let's look at some other variables. We're going to keep all the changes we've made the same. We're going to keep the savings rate, the new savings rate, the new spending rate. And let's look at what it would mean to be more aggressive. So if I show you the investments right now, you can see the way this is calculated. Right now, the samples have 70% in U.S. equities and 24% in U.S. bonds. It's a pretty clear-cut portfolio. As you know, there's data behind any portfolio you can imagine. There's historical data, unless something's really new, some kind of investment style is really new. But U.S. equities, U.S. bonds, there's a ton of information out there. Built into this system is about 50 years of historical data. What the Monte Carlo analysis is doing is running 1,000 different simulations or trials based upon this information to give us the likelihood of our money lasting. Right now, the allocation in retirement is the same as it is while we're working. But what if we were to move this to growth, thinking that if we're more aggressive with our money, then it's going to grow more? Let's refresh this. And we have gone in the other direction. And the reason is we simply cannot take on that amount of risk when we're so close to retirement. So this is no, we don't like that. Let's change this to preservation, because one might argue if we're more conservative with our money, then it will last longer. Refresh the screen, and it's even worse. And so we're going to put this back to current allocation because that stuff is not working. So changing the investment mix really didn't work. So let's go down our list and talk about modifying Social Security. So I'm going to show you what we have specified in here and sort of in our base case. Tom's Social Security is going to be taken at full retirement age, and I put his value in here at $3,000 per month. Full retirement age, and I'll save that, and I'll come over here to Amanda. She has a $1,300 benefit, also taken at full retirement age. Now, her full retirement age benefit is less than half of his, so she's actually going to get the spousal benefit. That's a subject for a different video, so it'll be a little bit more. But we have them taking at full retirement age. This is not the optimal strategy. So let's come back over here to our plan, and we're going to come down here to Social Security. You see current strategy, which is them both taking when they turn 67. Let's turn this to optimal strategy. The optimal strategy is her taking at 67 and him taking at 70. Let's refresh this. And we can see that that helped a little bit. The reason that helped a little bit is because I have them both living to age 90. So we know that's past the break-even point. I know this is a kind of controversial. A lot of people say just take Social Security at 62, and we can also address that in other videos. But for the purposes of this conversation, if we can expect, a lot of this depends on their health, what's going on in their lives, and all of that good stuff. But if we expect them to live till 90, because I have Tom at 90 and then I have Amanda at 90, then it makes sense that optimal strategy is going to be a good one for them. On the other hand, what if we say, let's have them take as early as possible, because we need income. If we're going to retire at 62, we need income. So let's change that to as early as possible. That would be 62. And we can see that it's actually gone down a little bit. You can see at this point in the analysis that so far the most meaningful things that we have done is cut spending and increase savings. That's why those two variables are so important. So let's keep this a current strategy. And we are still at $1.3 million and 62%. Will Roth conversions help us with this plan? As you know, a Roth conversion is when you take money from the tax-deferred bucket, 401ks and IRAs, you pay tax on it now, and you move it into the Roth environment where it grows tax-free, presumably for the rest of your life. Will that help us here? Let's take a look. I'm going to come over here to the tax module, and I'll show you that what I've asked the system to do is to fill up the tax brackets up to the 22% tax bracket under current tax law, or the 25% tax bracket if the tax law changes after next year. Let's take a quick sidebar on that. In 2017, the tax law changed. The tax brackets came down, and they're only going to be at this level for another year unless Congress acts to keep those things in force. So the same tax bracket as 25 years ago is now 22. I have the ability to say I want my system, my analysis to follow what the actual written tax law is at this point, and that's what I do. So this falls under the distribution strategy of the planning module. So I'm going to come down here, and under distribution strategy, I'm going to say distribution proposal. Refresh the screen so you can see we've come down. The reason we've come down is we're going to pay a lot of tax to get that money into a tax-free environment. Now, there is another option. We could ask the system only to convert up to a lower tax bracket, let's say the 12% tax bracket. Come back over here, refresh the screen, and you can see we've come up a little bit from that $874,000 figure. So that's pretty good. For the purposes of this examination, I don't want to consider the Roth contributions because I think they cloud the picture. They can be helpful, but that should not be a determining factor as to whether the samples can retire when they want to. So I'm going to put this back to current strategy, and we're going to come back here, you can see, to that 1.324 million figure. So there's one more thing to examine. But before we do that, let's take a look at where we are at this point. We know that if we save more money, it's going to help. We know that if we spend less money in retirement, that's going to help. We looked at changing the investment mix, making it either more aggressive or more conservative. That did not help. We looked at whether we optimize Social Security. If we take it at 70 and 67, the optimal Social Security claiming strategy, that could help. We looked at taking Social Security at 62 because ultimately if we retire at 62, we're going to need some income. When we take it at 62, we get a much smaller benefit. That sort of helped. None of those ancillary things were earth-shattering. We looked at taking Roth conversions. That might help, but I don't want that to be part of the decision-making criteria. We have to look at one more thing, and that one thing is maybe working till age 63. Let's take a look. What if Tom retires at age 63? Let's change this to 63. Now let's refresh the screen and see if any of that helps. It certainly does. We are now in the 70s at 2.24 million in the median ending balance. That is a giant step up. You'll notice that for Tom's marriage, I left Amanda at age 60. Let's let her retire. So let's move this back to 6,000 and see what happens. You'll recall that this was the original number, $6,000. And we refresh, and we're at 63% and 1.3 million. Not bad, but I like the number over 70%. What happens if we have Amanda work one more year? Let's refresh this. We'll go up a little bit. 66%. We're getting closer. We're in the right conversation. Let's review. Can this couple retire earlier than they had originally planned? In this video, we looked at several variables, but sadly, and you probably intuitively know this, it's going to come down to some combination of flexibility on the exact retirement year and a bit of belt tightening. Unfortunately, we don't invest our way to an earlier retirement, though bad investing could certainly delay things. We typically save more and spend a little less. I would much rather this couple work one additional year, if at all possible, than reduce their standard of living. I also think if they save a little more during that time, that will help as well. The Monte Carlo analysis we did, or the confidence percentage, that's not everything, but it does help us understand how all the pieces fit together. Let me know what you think in the comments, including questions. Like and subscribe if my content is informative for you, and thanks for watching.